And that's what I always think about with that, right? Where people say that all the time, like, I just am too much of a control freak, right? To me, what that is the ultimate excuse. And just what you're not willing to say is, I'm scared that somebody else would mess it up, you know?
Mhm.
But the thing is, there are very talented people, and it's honestly kind of egotistical to think that you are the only person who can do it, and that there's nobody out there who could do it as well as me, or even close to as well as me, or that they couldn't do it better than me. It's a very pompous way of thinking. And I've fell victim to that for a long time, where it's just like, well, I'm just really good at this, so I'll just do it myself. And it would, yeah, I'm just too much of a control freak. But what I had to acknowledge is, I'm just scared that I'm going to hire somebody and they're going to screw it up. Right. And then I'm going to have to clean up that mess. But, as I've found, especially with Top Dog Advertising, is that, like, there are really talented people. And you're a perfect example of, like, there are things that you unequivocally do better than I do. There's things that you have certain skill sets that, you have a more of a natural leaning to being more organized than me. You're in some cases better at having more difficult conversation around even like money with clients than I am. And I think part of that is also because, like, you're not as attached to it in the sense of, like, being the owner of the business. And so I think that, that's a really important distinction to make, is that, like, people can actually do a better job than you. And another really interesting thing about this is, like, when you're the only guy or girl in the business and you're trying to do everything and the business becomes bigger, ironically, you're probably doing a really shitty job at certain things. And so by saying, like, I'm just too much of a control freak, like, I just need to get done this way. It's like, you're not even doing a good job at it. And when I say you, I'm talking about me. And so, I had to realize that it's like, in an effort to try and control it and do a better job with it, it's actually getting done in a really poor manner. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, like, when you think about these companies that have been able to achieve these monumental things, like, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Nike, Walmart, like, the list goes on and on and on. You read the biographies about any of these entrepreneurs who started these companies, it's like, trust me, they are infinitely more particular and controlling than you and I.
Mhm.
Years ago, I met a guy who was a lawyer. He was a corporate attorney for Microsoft. This guy, Brian, is super bright guy. This is when we lived up in Massachusetts, and he owned this really big house, clearly did really, really well with Microsoft. And he never met Bill Gates, but he said to me, even just being in a couple internet or a couple email threads with him, he's like, you can tell how intense this guy is and how detail oriented he is and how much he means business. And it always stuck with me because it's like, again, most of us are not that much of a control freak. We're not that intense. And if Bill Gates can let go and, like, find good people to do the job, then we can all do that.
Mhm.
And again, just to kind of, like, wrap this all, put a nice bow on this, it's just fear speaking, right? It's just fear telling you, like, oh, I just, I'm too much of a control freak. But as soon as you let go of that and you find good people, again, I've said this many times, you guys are probably sick of hearing me say this, like, you will get to a point where you will hire somebody, you'll think to yourself, I cannot imagine a world in which I need to go back and try and do it all myself again.